Hello everyone, and welcome to Retro Brick Reviews, where today we will be taking a look at LEGO Harry Potter set number 75956, Quidditch Match. This set comes with 500 pieces, 6 minifigures, and retails for around $40 in the United States. It was released on July 1st as a Target exclusive, and will be available everywhere starting August 1st, 2018. So, without further ado, let's take a look at the set, starting with the minifigures. The first minifigure included in the set is Gryffindor Seeker Harry Potter. And I guess we'll start by talking about his accessories. He comes with 2. The first of them is just the standard LEGO broom piece in brown. Personally, I think it would have been cool if maybe LEGO could have designed a new piece to work better as a racing broom, since this isn't all too accurate to how one looks in the Harry Potter series, but it works fine in my opinion, and I don't really mind that they didn't make a new mold. It's just a potential thing that they could have done. But honestly, I'm fine with not getting a racing broom mold if it meant that instead we got this awesome golden snitch mold. Okay, this has to be one of the best molds LEGO has made in years. I mean, it's so tiny, but it has so much detail on it. Like, you have the ridged wings, the ball has lots of engraving on it. If I just pull it out of his hand, you can see that it does have a little peg out of the bottom, which doesn't look too good when he's not holding it, but it's alright. And really, there's no other way you could have done it at this scale. It's too small to have an anti-stud. And yeah, this is just a really awesome piece with lots of intricate detailing. I love it. It's probably the best thing in the set, to be honest. But moving his accessories out of the way, we can see Harry himself, who is pretty adorable looking here. First off, you can see that despite having short legs, he has a normal size red cape. So yeah, his cape goes down past his legs, which is just adorable, let's be real. But yeah, you can see that if I zoom in a little, he does just have standard white short legs, which I think are pretty good here. I'm glad that LEGO did give them short legs for this set, since this is based off of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, so the first book, first movie. It makes sense. The torso print, I think, is pretty good. It shows the robes being sort of tied over the uniform jumpers, and you have sort of a Gryffindor Quidditch badge as well. Yeah, it looks pretty nice. Turning Harry around to the back, you can just see some creases as well as the hood of the uniform, which I think is a pretty nice touch to have. Harry's hairpiece is the same one that comes in all of the new sets. Sorry, my stand malfunctioned there for a second. Which, in my opinion, looks really nice. It's very well shaped, about the right size. I love how it parts around Harry's scar. And then, the face print, I feel, looks a lot like Daniel Radcliffe. Pretty great. I think the eyebrows are well done. I like the 2 colors for the glasses with the black and the gunmetal gray. It's very well done. Harry does, of course, have his lightning scar as well, and you can see that, well, I have the hair a bit off, but you see that the hair does actually part around the scar, which is a very nice touch. Turning his head around, Harry does get an alternate expression as well, where he is much more scared. Quite fitting for this scene when his broom gets jinxed as he's flying hundreds of feet in the air. I mean, I feel as though the mouth is a bit too cartoony. It takes a bit away from the accuracy to the portrayal of Radcliffe, but it's a nice alternate expression nonetheless. It has a lot of character to it. And overall, that is Harry Potter. He has some pretty nice designs to him, some pretty nice character, a great new hairpiece, and an awesome golden snitch. The second figure in the set is Gryffindor Keeper Oliver Wood, who I think looks pretty nice. As you can see, his accessory is just another brown broom, which works out well enough. And moving that out of the way, you can see that he does have the same hairpiece that... the same torso that Harry had. Very different hairpiece, but yeah, same torso print, which of course makes sense since they're on the same team. The hairpiece is just the Mutt Williams hair in just a regular brown, which is nice. It's actually not too common in a regular brown. It's much more common in dark brown, so that's a nice piece to get. And then the face print for Wood is not new, actually. It is the LEGO Star Wars Resistance Trooper head that premiered with The Force Awakens, and, well, I mean, I think Resistance Trooper because that's where it was first seen, but it also appeared on, like, First Order crew members, some Rogue One Rebel Troopers. This face has made the rounds pretty quickly, but despite it being a reuse, honestly, I think it looks a lot like the actor who played Wood in the first couple movies. So yeah, it's a pretty good reuse, to be honest. I don't mind it. Turning this around to the back, he of course also has the same back print as Harry, and no alternate face, because the Resistance Trooper head is single-sided. But yeah, that's Oliver Wood. A figure that doesn't really bring much new to the table, but does at least manage to look very good and very accurate to how he was portrayed in the films. Pretty nice figure overall. The next figure in the set is Slytherin Captain and Chaser Marcus Flint, who has a very interesting broomstick. Let's take a look at that first here. So you can see that it's a black broomstick piece, but with a stud shooter attached and a red minifigure head. And while at first this might seem like pure insanity, the basic idea here is that since Flint is a chaser, the idea is that you would take him and he would fly up to one of Gryffindor's goal rings, and then use the stud shooter to shoot off the red head, which here represents the quaffle, to try and score a point. So it's actually kind of a fun play feature, and hey, if you think it looks ridiculous, there, problem solved. You still get a black broom nonetheless, and you can just leave the stud shooter off to the side if it bothers you. But anyway, so zooming in on the figure itself, this is actually a pretty good minifigure in my opinion. Starting with the torso, he is of course a Slytherin player, so the print is now on dark green, and there are some differences. Like now he has a Slytherin emblem, and the strings that tie the robes together are now copper instead of gold. And of course the sweater underneath is now green and white instead of being red and gold, of course. But anyway, white legs again. I mean, technically all of these players should have knee pads, and maybe the robes continuing down lower, but personally, I'm glad that they don't have leg printing, because then Harry not having any because of short legs would seem inconsistent, so it was a good choice, and a good cost-saving measure on LEGO's part, not to give them leg printing. I'm perfectly fine with that. But anyway, if we turn him around to the back, you can see his back print again just shows a couple of wrinkles, as well as the hood, which is pretty well done. Turning this guy back around to the front, you can see his face print, which is unique to this set, which is pretty nice. I've heard some people say that this does look a bit too goofy, and honestly, I will concur. This is one of the goofiest expressions I've ever seen on a minifigure, but to be honest, I think it looks pretty funny, let's be real. I mean, is it entirely accurate? No, I mean, I do feel as though for the kid that portrayed Marcus Flint in the Philosopher's Stone film, I feel as though the eyes and eyebrows are spot on. The mouth, though, I will concur, while it is pretty funny, is definitely a bit inaccurate. He never really made some doofy laugh like that, so maybe he should have had, like, an angry face or something. Sort of like what the 2010 one did, although I feel as though this figure does, at the same time, do a much better job than that one at capturing the obviously fake giant teeth that he had. So, yeah. Either way works, really. I personally prefer this one, but you can prefer the older one if you like. However, something that I can definitely say I'm not a big fan of this one on is the hairpiece. For Marcus Flint, Lego decided to go with the classic Ron Weasley bowl cut hair in black. And in my opinion, this is not correct at all. I mean, like, sure, he had sort of roundish hair, but it was much more messy than this, and it certainly wasn't a clean, ridged bowl cut like this. I mean, I feel as though, honestly, maybe a better choice would have been the original Harry hairpiece from back in 2001. I think that would have worked pretty well. Been rather messy. Or maybe, heck, that maybe they should have used the Anakin Skywalker hair in black. That could have also looked pretty good, although, I don't know, to be honest. Honestly, though, I think maybe they also there are a lot of possibilities. Maybe they also should have just stuck to the 2010 version, just having the black Mutt Williams hair. I don't know. All I do know is that this hairpiece doesn't really work here, unfortunately. And if you're curious, Flint here does not get an alternate face, unfortunately, but honestly, the front face is so hilarious that I can't be too mad about it. So yeah, overall, that's Marcus Flint. A pretty doofy minifigure that might not be too screen accurate, but he looks so funny that I don't really care. The last Quidditch player in this set is identified by LEGO as Slytherin beater Lucian Bowl. Personally, I feel as though it bears a better resemblance to a different character, but I'll get more into that later. But starting off with the accessories, he has a black broom, as well as what is supposed to be a beater's bat, but personally, it doesn't really look like one to me. I mean, it should be dark brown, and it doesn't really look like a carved wooden bat. It just looks more like a telescope with a bump on one end. Which it is. So I feel as though maybe LEGO should have just gone with what they did back in the 2010 set and just given us a dark brown carrot. That worked pretty well for a wooden club. But anyway, you can see that this guy has the same torso print as Marcus Flint, of course, being just another member of Slytherin's team. But it still works pretty well, of course. Back print is the same, just in case you forgot what it looked like. The face print on this guy is pretty alright. It's not new. It was first used in the direct-to-consumer Pirates of the Caribbean set, the Silent Mary, I think it was. And then it was also used in the Ant-Man and the Wasp set for Ant-Man, so... But this is still a good face here. I like getting it. It has sort of on this side a confident smile, and on the other side, he looks quite frightened. And I also do feel as though the hairpiece here, the brown spiky hair, works pretty well with this face, but not really for Lucian Bowl, who, first off, it's never even been confirmed that he was in the movies. There's an unnamed Slytherin beater who may be Lucian Bowl, but that guy had black hair, and his face really doesn't look anything like this guy's face. No, I mean, but there was a Slytherin player that had brown hair that was spiked up in the front, and a face that sort of resembled this, that being Terrence Higgs, the Seeker during Harry's first year. Which, first off, it makes sense for him to be in this set since, this is based off of the Philosopher's Stone, so Draco wasn't the Seeker yet, it was Terrence Higgs. And secondly, I mean, this guy just looks like Terrence Higgs, so if I had to guess what happened here, this guy was probably originally meant to be Higgs, but then for some reason they decided that they wanted to include a beater. So then they just decided to looked up the books, found that there was a beater named Lucian Bowl, and they were like, okay, sure. But yeah, anyway, this is Lucian Bowl and or Terrence Higgs. Pretty nice minifigure. Identity is a bit confusing, though. Looks nice, though, I will admit. While Bowl was the last Quidditch player in the set, there are still 2 other minifigures, and the first of them is Hermione Granger, who is not exclusive to this set. She also appears in the Hogwarts Great Hall and Whomping Willow in this exact same outfit, which is just the standard Gryffindor uniform, but I think it works pretty well here, so I don't mind. To start with, I guess we'll start with the hair, since it does cover up some of the torso. It's a very nice new molded piece. It looks pretty perfect for Hermione's very messy hair in the first couple of films, and all of the books. And you can see just around all sides, it's very messy, very rounded, very well done, in my opinion. Her face print is growing on me day by day. I don't know why. But yeah, I feel as though this face does look pretty good. I know that just a couple days ago I was complaining about not really liking it, but yeah, it's really starting to grow on me. I think it does look a lot like a younger Emma Watson. Honestly, I still don't know why this looks slightly off to me, but I feel as though it is definitely growing on me. It's a good print. Hermione's alternate face is this very scared one, and personally, I think that honestly has a bit of a better likeness. I don't know, I think it might be the mouth shape doing something for me. I don't know what it is, I just really like this alternate face. You can see that the torso print is just the standard Gryffindor uniform, which looks nice. You just have a couple of wrinkles on it, as well as the tie attached to an undershirt. On the back print, you just have a couple more wrinkles, the continuation of the stripe, and then just some sort of, I don't know what you call it, like the little lines at the bottom. I can't think of the word, whatever. And then she just has black short legs, and the new wand piece in dark tan. And if you haven't seen the new wand piece before, it looks like this. It's about 2.5 studs long, and what's cool about it is, while a figure can hold it straight up, like you just saw, she can also hold it facing outwards in attack mode, which personally I think is just such a cool idea, and I'm so glad that we're finally getting new wands instead of lightsaber blades. And you do get an extra dark tan wand in this set, so yeah, that's Hermione, a figure that isn't exclusive but is still a very nice inclusion. The final minifigure included in the set is Professor Severus Snape, who looks pretty good in my opinion. We'll start at the bottom. The leg print works pretty well in conjunction with the torso to have the long flowing robes. Although interestingly, the legs are not new. They're actually the same legs that LEGO used for General Hux in the Force Awakens sets, which I don't have a problem with because seriously, I did not notice this. Someone else brought it to my attention, and I would never have noticed it had they not brought it to my attention. It is a perfectly fine reuse, because Hux's legs are just for sort of a generic coat or robe going down onto someone's legs. So yeah, good job, LEGO. A really efficient reuse of a part. Who knows, maybe we could even see these legs on some other figures. I don't know. The sky's the limit if LEGO keeps up the creativity of the design. Or non-creativity, because it's a reuse. I don't know. Whatever you want to call it, I'm fine with it. The torso is nice. Aside from the robe, you can see that he does have a purple waistcoat. I'm glad that they brought purple back into Snape's design. It just fits with him for some reason. Back print is very simple, just a few creases of the outfit. I think the hairpiece works pretty well. I know that LEGO could have designed one that's slightly more accurate, but I feel as though the black Prince of Persia Destan hairpiece, it still works pretty well in my opinion. Yeah, the face print, at least the front, looks really good for Alan Rickman in my opinion. I think the details around the eyes and mouth and the shape of the mouth really do help with that, as well as the eyes, like the shape of the eyes, how they're not exactly circles. I don't know what you call it, but it almost looks like they have a bit of an eyelash on the sides. Obviously not the intention, but the shape of the eyes, that's what I'm talking about. It looks really good, and it really does help this figure to look more like Alan Rickman. And I love the raised eyebrow. That's perfect. Gives the figure a lot of personality. The alternate face is definitely rather angry. I feel as though this one doesn't look as much like Snape, but it's still an alright print. I mean, I think the eyes look really good, the mouth is just a bit off to me. I don't know. And he comes with the new wand piece in black, and you do get a spare of that as well, which is nice. So yeah, that is Severus Snape, the last minifigure in the set. So now let's move on to the builds of the Quidditch match. This set comes with a spectator tower for each of Hogwarts' 4 houses. And to be unorthodox, let's start off with the Slytherin tower, which I think looks very nice. You can see that there is a tiny bit of foliage down on the ground, just the new leaf piece and the new sprout piece. Then you can see that on the front you do have a couple of stickers on sort of the 1x4x2 panel pieces. One shows a couple of arrows and then just sort of some diamonds, I guess. I don't know what those symbols on the gray are. And then the other one shows the symbols again, as well as the Slytherin snake insignia. And then if I zoom in, you can see that there is also a little flag piece that says Go Slytherin, which is a nice piece to get. You can see that the checkering design is also built in, which I think looks pretty good. It's also on top, which is nice, and the tower is topped off with a green flag. From the side, you can see that the checkering detail does continue around the side. However, if I do have one complaint, it's that, as you can see, it's not fully checkered, because for a bit more structural stability, like here, LEGO put in a 1x4, and then this is a 1x1 and a 1x3, so the division, like, this technically, like, this should, like, here should be gray, but it's green, and here should be green, but it's gray. But to be honest, I don't really mind. I mean, it still looks pretty good nonetheless, even with the slight inconsistency. Around from the back, you can see that there is just a 2x4 space to place a minifigure. So I guess we'll just put in Professor Snape here. And there is a gear on the back that we'll get to in a minute. But then down on the bottom, you can see that there is a nice 3x4 area of empty space. So down there, you could just store some stuff. Like, maybe you could put another minifigure. Or, like, for example, down here you could store the Quidditch cup. Or the chest of balls. But we'll get more into those later. But anyway, going back to that gear, each of the 4 towers has its own little play function to go with it, to help with recreating the game of Quidditch. Or at least the other 3 have stuff to help with the game. This one is more for a specific scene from Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, where, of course, Hermione thought that Snape was jinxing Harry's broom, so if you turn the gear, you can just pop up a little fire piece, you know, to make Snape stop casting the spell that he was casting. It's a nice feature. I mean, I would have liked if the fire ended up a bit closer to Snape, and you can sort of balance it there, but it is pretty difficult, and so it's easier to just have it be to his right, but it's still not nice. In my opinion, it's a fine feature, not very complicated, but it works perfectly well. And it's a nice callback to the first movie. So yeah, that is the Slytherin Spectator Tower. So now let's move on to the Gryffindor Tower. So here we have Gryffindor's Spectator Tower, which of the four is the most unique. And you can probably already see right away what's unique about it, in that instead of having the front be fully built up, it instead uses a 4x1x5 window piece that just has a sticker on it to show all of the Gryffindor details. And I think it's an alright idea, and there is a reason for it. There's a play feature I'll get into in a minute, but if I do have one complaint, I wish that the checkering did line up with the bricks, because it's a bit awkward how the other three builds have the checkering lining up with the bricks, and this one doesn't. Just a little gripe of mine. From the sides, you can see that it's pretty much the same as the Slytherin Tower, except you do have a couple of low-friction pins. Then at the back, you can see that you do have the same deal with the 2x4 space up on top to seat a minifigure. For example, Hermione, and I should note that, of course, short-legged minifigures can stand up here, but for tall minifigures, normal legs, you have to sit them because they can't fit standing up. There isn't too much room in these towers, and again, you can only fit one figure in each, but it's still alright for seating figures. But you can see down on the bottom that instead of having the 4x3 area of space, you instead have sort of some sloped pieces. And the idea with that, for this little feature, is that basically what you can do is you can take your player, I'm just using Oliver Wood here, and you can have them sort of fly through the banner and out the other side. Or, well, either you could have them fly through, or you could just have them maybe get injured and accidentally veer into here and then get caught. Either way works. Heck, if you really wanted to, you could just hold this up and use this section as a slide. I don't know, use your imagination. There's lots of stuff you could do here. This is a pretty fun build, to be honest. I like it. So that is the Gryffindor Spectator Tower. So now let's move on to the next one. The third tower we have here is the Ravenclaw Tower, which looks very similar to Slytherin's, to be honest. You can see that you have the same plant design on the bottom. You have two similar stickers on the front, with just some checks, as well as the Ravenclaw eagle, and then the other two are just those same symbols, and you also have a flag for Ravenclaw. Up on top, you used to have the same checkering design and the blue flag this time. On the sides, same thing, although I forgot to mention on the previous two towers these little Technic holes on the bottom. Those are on all four towers, and there's a reason for that, but we'll get to that later. From the back, same deal as Slytherin. You have a 2x4 space up on top and a 3x4 space on the bottom. And yeah, no real play feature with this tower. You just have the little megaphone there, which would be for the announcer, Lee Jordan, except we don't have Lee Jordan. He's not in the set, he's not in the minifigure series, no Lee Jordan. I mean, I guess that maybe you could put Madam Hooch up here. I mean, the old Quidditch set from 2010 had the Ravenclaw Tower as her tower, so I don't know. But yeah, it's an alright build, but nothing fantastic. I feel as though, I think it would have been cool if maybe they could have fit an actual play feature in here as well, but, I mean, it's alright to have one boring tower. But yeah, that's the Ravenclaw Spectator Tower, so now let's move on to the final tower, which is for Hufflepuff. The last Spectator Tower included is that for House Hufflepuff, and this one also looks pretty nice. You can see that this time the stickers on the front show some diagonal stripes, as well as the Hufflepuff badger. Around the sides, same deal. Back, same. Actually, there is a difference on the back, but we'll get more into that in a minute. But on the front here, if we zoom in a little, you can see that you have a scoreboard, which is nice here. You can see that we have panels for Gryffindor and Slytherin, and representing the points, which in the movie are little silver balls, almost like marbles. I don't know. Point balls, I guess, would be a bit more accurate, like sort of what they use in the house for the house points, just silver balls instead of rubies. I don't know. Whatever they're supposed to be, these look pretty good. They're just using the existing print on the 1x1 round silver tile that just prints some chrome onto the flat silver, which is nice. You can see Slytherin has 2 points, Gryffindor has 3. Inside this little container here, though, you do get another point, so you could give Slytherin the 3rd one, and that's just a container for all the points. Like, the instructions tells you to do it like this, but you could set it up with however many points you want for each house. Yeah. And then, around the back at the bottom, going back down here, you just have a little storage area for 2 other tiles featuring Ravenclaw and Hufflepuff, and while that is a nice touch, it's a bit awkward when you consider that LEGO hasn't yet made Quidditch players for those 2 houses, which is a bit of a letdown. Maybe we'll get them in the future. Maybe if they ever do a Series 2 of the minifigure series, we could get one. Because I doubt that they would do another whole Quidditch set just to get us Ravenclaw and Hufflepuff players. I don't know, maybe they could do it in like a battle pack format. That would be pretty neat. Or maybe it's like polybags. I don't know. The point is, though, that we don't have those figures yet, and I hope we will in the future. But for the time being, this is still a pretty nice build for the Hufflepuff Tower. And it is the last of the 4 towers included here. And yeah, it's pretty good. So now let's move on to the final main build of the set, the Quidditch pitch itself. So here we have the section of the Quidditch pitch included in the set, which is basically just the Gryffindor goal rings. But we do have some nice stuff here. Starting off, you can see here that there is a little clear stand, which is for Keeper Oliver Wood. And obviously you could pose him in sort of a flying stance, but for the sake of quickness, I'll just have him standing. And you have a little black knob back here, and when you turn that, he'll just move between the 3 posts to guard them, which is nice. And of course, this lets you actually sort of partly play Quidditch, because then, while one person is guarding the hoops with wood, someone else can come in with flint and try to shoot at the hoops. So, yeah, obviously you could either try to make a shot with flint, or obviously if someone moves wood in the front, then wood just takes a quaffle to the face. Yeah, it works. The 3 hoops are pretty nice builds. I like the ring pieces at the top. A lot smaller than the old hoops, but they're actually pretty accurately sized, and I like them. One complaint, though, is that they are pretty flimsy. They're each only attached with a single stud, and they're pretty tall, so it's not too hard to knock them over if you're not careful, so I guess that is a bit of a complaint. But yeah, you could see over here that you have a stud shooter with a black stud, just a regular black stud, and this is a bludger. And personally, I wish that they would have just attached a minifigure head to the bludger like they did with the quaffle to make it larger, because a black stud doesn't really look like a bludger. It looks like you're just pelting bits of coal at everyone. Which I guess would also be pretty interesting for Quidditch, but it's not accurate. Yeah, but then over here on each side, you have a little sort of the angle piece that angles everything off by 45 degrees with a couple of pins on that. And of course, the idea is that you could bring in one of your towers, and I'll just do it according to how the instructions say. So you can bring Hufflepuff's tower over here and attach it with the pins. And then going around to the back, you take this little assembly here, this sort of 7-long Technic piece with a couple of high-friction pins, and just put that in to lock the tower in there. And then you can do the same on the other side with the Ravenclaw tower. And, I mean, as I knock over a hoop, and you can see what I mean, these are pretty flimsy, and, of course, if you wanted to, you could also use the Gryffindor Tower or the Slytherin Tower, since they all have the Technic holes at the same place, but I'm just going by the instructions, which tell you to put Hufflepuff and Ravenclaw on the pitch, and then just Gryffindor and Slytherin not attached, but also more in the forefront. So yeah, with those attached, we now have a much bigger and cooler looking Quidditch scene. So yeah. But there are a couple of other very small builds included with the set before we wrap up this review, so let's just take a look at those, why not? So here we have a couple of final elements included here. First, we have the Quidditch Cup, which is just the football trophy piece in gold, sitting atop a brick and a 2x2 jumper. I mean, I would have preferred if the cup was silver, since I think that the cup is supposed to be silver in universe, but this is all right, I guess. And I also preferred would prefer if it was larger, but oh well. And then here you just have this chest for balls, and here you have a quaffle and 5 bludgers, because the bludgers are just normal studs, so if LEGO just included 2 extra, kids might still lose them. But what annoys me here is, while it's good to have extra pieces, it's sort of sad here, because, like, while I'm good because I have the old Quidditch set from 2010, people who are just getting into LEGO Harry Potter won't have an actual quaffle or bludgers. So I would have preferred if maybe instead of using this chest for extra storage, maybe they could have had storage be in one of the towers, say just store your extra projectiles in Ravenclaw's tower, since it doesn't have much going for it. And then this chest could have just included the LEGO Technic ball pieces, 1 in red, 2 in black, to have more realistic balls. Just a thought, and this is still a perfectly fine inclusion, just kind of wish it could have been a bit better. But yeah, I guess that is really all I have to say for the set itself, since this is the very last thing included. But before we move on to the final verdict, let's take a look at the box first. Why not? So here we have the box for Quidditch Match. You can see in the top left you have the LEGO Harry Potter logo. Top right you have art of the 3 main protagonists, strangely using images based from Order of the Phoenix, which is odd since the latest film covered in any of the sets is Prisoner of Azkaban. In the bottom left, you have a list of all 6 minifigures, and in the bottom right, you have the logo for J.K. Rowling's Wizarding World. And I feel as though the picture on the box does a pretty good job of capturing what you get in the set. It shows off all 4 towers and the 3 hoops quite nicely, as well as all of the figures in interesting action poses. Even Snape and Hermione, who aren't doing too much, get the spotlight a little, which is nice. And the visual effects on their wands are a nice touch. Turning the set around to the back, you can see that the set does show off some of the play features I've shown in this review. And I think, yeah, it's pretty nice. On the back, you can just see also for this back image, it shows sort of another action shot with Flint and Wood still playing ball, while interestingly Harry's already caught the snitch, so I mean the game's over, you can stop playing. And then Lucian Bowl and or Terrence Higgs is just sweeping the floor. As you do. Oh, and also I forgot to mention, at the top of the box features a display of all 6 minifigures, interestingly with Oliver Wood proudly holding the Quidditch Cup, and Hermione with the megaphone for some reason. So yeah, overall that is the box for Quidditch Match, and before we wrap up, let's take a look at the extra pieces, because why not? These new LEGO Harry Potter sets have had some of the best assortments of extra pieces I've seen in any LEGO sets in years, and while this set does have one of the less interesting assortments of any of the sets, you do still get some nice parts. First off, here on the left, you can see the little brackets that the wands are packaged in. You can see that each bracket holds 2 wands, which are just attached in a couple of places, and then you just break the wands off. Sort of an interesting way of doing it, but since the wands are so small, it makes sense. And therefore, because of that, you do get an extra wand in each color. So you get a tan wand for Hermione and a black wand for Professor Snape. So that's nice, and then you do get some other nice pieces as well, like the new stock piece, which is nice to get. The sort of printed chrome circle on this piece. And this sort of black bump piece. And this 3-long bar in light bluish gray isn't too bad either, so... Well, yeah, the extra pieces in this set aren't as cool as the ones in the Whomping Willow. You do still get some nice ones, so yeah. So really, that's all I have to say about the stuff included in this set, so now let's move on to the final verdict, I guess. Oh, cool thing about this set, while the only figure that gets a clear stand is wood, you really don't need any others because there are so many different places to clip on and attach on your figures on this set. There really isn't any need for any other stands. Like, for example, you can see that I have Harry and Bowl/Higgs just standing atop the flags, and I have Flint, just one of his arms is clipped onto the pole of the hoop, and it looks perfectly natural, to be honest. You totally don't need to go out of your way to get any extra trans-clear pieces in order to display this, which is pretty cool, I think. But anyway, despite that, would I recommend this set for $40? Yes and no is my answer. Yes, because it's a really awesome set with great value and a lot of minifigures, and you have some nice play features, and it's great for display. But no, if you were only getting one Harry Potter set. Because I feel as though, while this set is great, don't get me wrong, if of the 5 sets, this is the only... I feel as though this one is really... It doesn't work too well as a standalone set. Maybe that's not the right words, because obviously it does work well as a standalone Quidditch set. What I mean to say is, if you're going to get one set, this set doesn't really feel like it could fill the spot of your LEGO Harry Potter set. Like, the Aragog set is really small, but it comes with Harry and Ron, and you get a ton of the new molds, like Harry's hair, the new wands in the 2 main colors, brown and dark brown, the new candle, the new lamp, and I mean, the Whomping Willow, which is the other set I currently have. I'm not really going to give my opinions on the 2 biggest sets at the moment, but for the Whomping Willow, you get the wand in a ton of new colors, you get several new molds, several important characters, and a huge chunk of Hogwarts. Aragog is a really great small set, and Whomping Willow is a really good large set, and while this is a really good medium-sized set, don't get me wrong, I can't really recommend this as your only LEGO Harry Potter set. Now, if you are getting one of those other sets that comes with some of the more traditional stuff, maybe a piece of the castle, or just the figures, or some nice... I don't know. I feel as though if you're going to get this set, get something else with it. Even if the other set you get is Aragog, then it'll just seem like your Harry Potter collection is much more complete than just getting this. And I guess that's my final verdict here. This set is really good as long as you have another set. Because this set is a great Quidditch set, but just having it by itself, it does feel a little lonely. And I mean, yeah, I really don't have any other complaints besides that, and that's not even really a complaint, it's just, in my personal opinion, this set, you should have another set, again, just to have most of the new pieces, to make this feel more complete. I don't know, I feel as though I'm still phrasing this wrong. Hopefully you get the idea, because I really can't think of a better way to say it. But, yeah. Really, the only other problem I have with the set, and wait, give me a sec, I just realized that the Slytherin stand is a bit popped up. Sorry about that. My only other problem here, really, is that, well, I mean, the building can get a bit monotonous, because you're building 4 towers that are very similar, especially Slytherin and Slytherin and Ravenclaw are very similar, but honestly, that's really my only other complaint. So, I guess my only complaint with this set is that you should also get another set to go with it. And honestly, that's just my opinion. I'm sure, and a lot of you would probably be happy if you got this set and nothing else. And it is a great set. Again, I just want to push that in. I'm not at all saying this is a bad set. It's a great set. It's just that you should get another set as well to go with it to make the stuff you get here feel more complete. That's still not the right way to say it, but I don't want to waste any more of you guys' time trying to say the right words. I've spent 45 minutes reviewing a $40 set. That's way too long. I'm just gonna sign off now. So thank you all so much for watching this video. I hope you liked it. I hope it didn't bore you to death because it's so horribly long. And I will see all of you in the next video. Hopefully, if you didn't die because this video is so long. I'm sorry it's so long. I just had a lot of stuff I wanted to talk about. And, yeah. So, bye, I guess. So yeah, I will see all of you in the next video. Farewell.